Twitter, Facebook, Apple, Google, the rest of them have come for conservatives. The tech companies have been wanting to do this for a while. And that's part of the problem here. They've been wanting to, for a while, ban conservatives, the woke boys in social media. And one of the responses, and frankly, I've had this response for a while, has been just go build your own platform. The internet is open. You can build your own platform. You don't have to use Twitter. Well, a group of conservatives went and built a site called Parler, which is Twitter, but it's Parler. It is Twitter for conservatives. Now, here's the problem. Twitter has purged a bunch of people, including the president. The president's account has been permanently suspended. It is worth distinguishing Twitter from Facebook. Facebook temporarily stopped the president from being able to post. They have not banned the president or deleted his content. Twitter went to extremes and wiped out his account. Rush Limbaugh in protest deleted his account. A bunch of other people deleted their accounts, but Twitter's been going through this purge of people. A lot of them moved to Parler. Well, Apple and Google have now banned Parler from their websites, have banned Parler from their app stores. Parler is run on Amazon Web Services. Essentially, you can buy time on Amazon servers to run your apps, and a lot of companies do this now. They're back in. Well, Amazon Web Services has banned Parler from their site. Now, you do need to, in proper context, understand people on Parler were collaborating, and one of the things that they were talking about was a terrorist attack on Amazon's web servers. So Amazon took them off. They've been demonetized. There's no way to use it. Now, here's the thing. I've long said, and this should be so simple, these are private companies. Private companies should be able to do whatever they want to do. They're not bound by the First Amendment that only applies to the government. But this all makes it much more complex, because if you're in the position that I was in saying, hey, just go build your own stuff. Well, you can't build your own stuff, because if they move everything off of Apple and Google, how are you going to get apps on your phones? You can't get an app on an iPhone unless you go through the Apple Store. And Apple's insisting that they have a moderation thing. Well, Apple lets terrorists use their apps to collaborate for terrorist attacks and brags about how safe and secure you are, and the FBI can't get your content if you're not using iCloud backup. So if you're the Ayatollah, you get access to Twitter. If you're the Chinese communist propagandist, you get access to Twitter. But if you're the sitting president of the United States, you don't. If you're in Al-Qaeda or ISIS, you can use the iPhone and apps on the iPhone to plan terrorist attacks. But if you're an American citizen, you can't use Parler to organize a rally for the president. And for those of you saying that they were organizing terrorist attacks, yes, okay. But so are the terrorists using other apps on the Apple Store, Apple's App Store, and Apple's not throwing them off. And I'm a big Apple fan, but there is clearly a double standard here. There's something called Section 230, and it is a protection for publishers on the internet. Among other things, and I'm trying to boil this down in simplest terms, but among other things, that Facebook and Twitter and your website comments section can exist because under Section 230 of federal law of the Communications Act, you are not, if you're the web publisher, you are not liable and cannot be sued for what a person outside of your control puts on your site. So if I'm an internet publisher and I publish a site and Lynn Wood were to come on and slander Dominion Voter Systems, Facebook, Google, wherever he put the comment, can't be sued for Lynn Wood putting his comment on. Lynn Wood can be sued, but they can't be sued. There is a move from some on the right and the left to get rid of Section 230. And in essence, that would get rid of comment sections. It would wipe out companies like Facebook and Twitter. You wouldn't be able to use them. You would have to go back to the old days of mainstream media where they tell you what you're allowed to say and have people on who say it, and you yourself can't compete or have a comment section or anything like that. I don't know that that's the right solution. In fact, I've been very adamant that that is the wrong solution, but, and this is important, but I'm less committed to that position now. If the solution in the free market is you go build your own stuff to compete, and you go build your own stuff to compete, and the technology companies then say, well, you can't, we're going to shut you out, we're going to lock you out, We're going to lock you out of the company that processes your credit cards. We're going to lock you out of the company that does your logins and keeps your accounts. We're going to lock you out of the company on whose servers you host. We're going to lock you out of being able to be in the App Store. We're going to lock you out of in all of this stuff. You can't actually go build your own stuff. And so, the crazy thing is what happens is you're now seeing a bunch of conservatives who were fighting with each other last week over what to do about the president, fairly united today that this is a bad precedent that is being set by these companies. Now, I've got to say this. When you storm the U.S. Capitol leading an insurrection and then are already plotting one for next week, what did you think was going to happen? That's a valid, fair point. But also, let's just be clear here. We've already seen them doing this with people who aren't woke, people who aren't down with social justice. So they're using this as an excuse to do what they were already doing, but now to scale. It is very clear technology companies are hostile to the right and to conservatives. It has been for a while. And I think what you're going to see, unfortunately, is more and more people on the right embrace the idea that we've got to go along with the socialists who want to create these things as public utilities and deny them the ability to ban people. You actually had a Trump supporter over the weekend saying that the government needs to seize control of Twitter and Facebook and make them government managed. I found the communist, that guy. But that's where we are in the conversation, because these guys, just like the people last week overplayed their hand, these people who run these companies are overplaying their hand.
You can follow Eric around